your man Rod Love, and with me this evening we have my co-host Miss Shaquita Wynn. How you doing this evening, Miss Wynn?
I am doing well. How are you doing, Mr. Love?
I'm doing great, but you know what? We can't help but to recognize the Fame House is in the house tonight. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing well. I'm so happy to be here.
Hey, and you know what? I'm talking about nobody other than Mr. Ray Gaines. Hey, the man.
Yes.
So you know, we're gonna dive off because as this show goes, before we know it, we're bringing this show to a close.
Yes.
Yes.
And the more we do this, and Miss Wynn, I don't know, we've been doing the sit down now for several months. And as soon as we start the show,
It's over.
it's over.
Yes.
It's over.
Yes.
So we're learning to dive in the deep end early. And man, the Fane House, everybody's been asking questions about what is the Fane House. And we're going to just go ahead and throw it at you, man. What is the Fane House?
Well, the Fane House is a transitional home for young adults aged 18 to 23 that have either aged out of foster care or are considered homeless by the state of Florida.
Okay, let me, you know, it's this thing my kids used to be like,
Okay, back it up a little bit.
I'm hitting them
Back it up. Back it up.
Okay, see, when we talk about kids aging out of foster care, a lot of people aren't familiar with that vernacular. They know that kids go to foster care, but what a lot of people don't realize is a lot of kids actually age out, and it's almost like you're, from an age perspective, the system can say goodbye, but what the state of Florida has done is recognize that a lot of these kids are ill prepared,
Yes.
or young people, young
Yes.
adults, I
Young
should call
adult,
them.
yes.
They're ill prepared to leave the system and just hit the ground running.
Right.
So, with that being the case, your facility is there to be supportive, to help them develop those skills, to try to make that transition a little easier.
Absolutely. So let me kind of back up a little bit. So when I say aged out of foster care, when you turn 18, foster care stops.
It's done.
It's done. And typically that means that if you are in a group home or any type of situation like that, that's over too. So a lot of times those young adults don't have any place else to call home.
Right.
And so that's where the Fane House comes in. We are that second placement for them once they leave foster care.
You know, it's interesting because when I turned 18, and I wasn't in foster care, I was in this other kind of care called Mama Fannie Mae care. and leading up to 18, Mama Fannie Mae said, you need to be prepared because there's a few things you need to be making some decisions on. One, if you're going to college.
Yep.
We were poor, so she said, run, baby, run. I played football, but she also said, get that schooling so your academics can allow you to be ready. But then there was a few other things she said. We're going to look at to see whether or not you're going to get a trade. She also looked at, which my older brother did, he went to the military. So
Those are your options.
that wasn't foster care. That was Mama Fannie Mae house.
I got it.
And you know, some people ask, okay, what if you didn't do none of that? Mama Fannie Mae will be looking at you with your clothes back and say, you know, I don't know where you're going, but
Absolutely.
you gotta get out of here.
That's right.
You know, so I had to say that. So some of the things that the Fane House does to prepare young people.
Well, what we do is that the number one thing is that we have to help them pass their trauma.
Okay.
So when they first come in our building, that's the first thing that we're dealing with. Those first 3 to 6 months, we are really focusing on informed trauma care to make sure we're dealing with some of the things that they had to deal with while they were in care.
So do you have licensed clinicians then?
No, we actually don't, but we have a contract with a counseling service that, that like we're able to provide counseling for all of our young adults. And it's funny that you asked that, because I just got off a conference call today with Aspire, who actually owns the building in front of us, that we're working on an agreement so that we can also now, in addition to getting the mental health counseling, also some psychiatric services
Okay.
and
Oh,
case
wow.
management
Oh,
services.
wow.
So we got that deal rolling as of today. So I'll be meeting with them next Wednesday at 10 o'clock, and we're going to try to firm out the details for that. But that's the first thing that we do, is we help them deal with that trauma. Then we start working toward job placement, educational placement, because every young adult that leaves our facility, we want them to have a job that constitute a livable wage. Because without that livable wage, you're not going to be able to survive
You're right.
Right.
out here in,
You're right.
in Orange County. So we
Right.
really focus on that. But I was laughing when you said, Mama Fannie Mae, 'cause that's how I played basketball. You know, I was a lot thinner back then, but I played ball. And so without bouncing that ball, I wouldn't have had a chance to go to college.
Right.
You know, so
Right.
I understand that. And a lot of times the young adults don't have those resources or those capabilities to be able to have somebody push them toward that.
Right.
You're right. You're right. You're
That's
absolutely right.
right. That's right. What are some of the other things that the Fannie House do for the young men? Is it just men, or is it women and men, or?
It's actually a combination of both. If I'm being honest, one of the things that was really difficult for me to understand is how am I going to manage a house with 18 to 23-year-old males and females? Because I knew how I was when I was
Yeah.
18
Oh,
and
yeah.
23.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
being able to manage that, but we really foster a culture of family. So when you walk into our facility, you're never going to see a bunch of rules and regulations and you know, expectations on the wall. It's a house, and we treat it as such. And so all of our young adults operate like brothers and sisters.
See, and that takes us to, you know, Miss Wynn. You know, she works with some of our students that prepare these questions, and we tell them we don't want these soft questions all the time. And you just kind of led into it, which was, what are some of the specific measures that are taken to maintain the supportive environment in the Fane House for this co-ed
Yes.
setup, but actually
Yes.
on top of it being co-ed, man, I'm thinking, you know, I got 2 daughters.
Yeah,
I
same.
was thinking, you know, that age between 13 and 17 was terrible for me, but you got 18 to 23.
Yeah.
It's almost like you have young adults that at some point, it's almost like, how do you tell them what to do?
Well, one of the things that I really focused on when I took the job was coming from the Department of Juvenile Justice. It's always been a bunch of expectations, a bunch of rules, and a bunch of regulations that you had to follow. And from my experience, when you have a bunch, they're going to break a bunch.
They can bring-
And that's what they do. And so what we do is that we have 5 things that are zero tolerance.
Okay.
And that's, you know, drugs and alcohol in our building. Having, you know, having relationships with each other, you know, sexual relationships, fighting, aggression, you know, threatening each other. Those are things
Zero tolerance,
Zero
yeah.
tolerance. They
Yeah.
know if that happens, you're going to leave our facility immediately. But some of the measures that we take is that we have 24-hour surveillance. So whether I'm in Daytona where I live or I'm driving on I-4,
You can see what's happening.
I can see what's happening.
Gotcha.
And so we also have each resident is assigned a key fob. So the key fob tracks their movement. So I know when you come in the house, I know when you leave, I know when you go into your room, I know when you come out, because that key fob tracks.
Oh, so it's internal too.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So like we're able, so every time I use my key fob, and we have an app on our phone that I can tell, okay, there's Ray, he just walked in the house at 11:57, curfew 12 o'clock. Hey man, you almost missed it.
Yeah.
And so
yeah.
everybody expects that phone call, so we're able to do that. Plus, we have 24-hour surveillance inside the building. The only place that we cannot see into is into their personal
Yeah,
room.
yeah.
And so each resident has their own room and own bathroom, so they don't share none of that.
Gotcha.
So we're able to see into
good.
every place except for that. We can see all around the building, the outside, the backyard, all that. So I
What's
can
your
see-
capacity?
Our capacity is 10.
Okay.
So we're able to hold 10 young adults, male and female, and everyone has their own bathroom, own room, own mini fridge, all of that stuff.
Okay, so let me ask you this question. Because you have a capacity of 10, is it static to where it's 5 and 5, or is it on a first come, first served basis, or is it on a who really critically needs to be served? I mean, how do you determine that?
It's a combination of all of that, right? So we always maintain a wait list because the need is greater than the 10.
Yes.
So that's always there. But what I do, because I'm the one that's in charge of the intake process, so I deal with all of that personally. For me, it's about fit.
Okay.
Because
Right.
number one, like one of the rules that I have for myself as well as my young adults is, once I can't trust you, I can't trust you no more.
Right.
So they understand that. So the
Right.
conversations that we have leading up to your admission to the program, they understand that that's what it's about for me. So, you know, we may have a young lady, like today I had a young lady come in today that's dealing with some domestic violence, but she's been sleeping in her car.
Yeah.
And I have to be super careful about bringing her in because safety and security is my number one
Yeah,
concern.
you gotta think about everybody
That's
else
right,
too.
because if
Everybody
you're
else.
out there fighting your significant other,
Right.
Yeah.
and he bring that nonsense over here, then we're gonna have
Right.
issues.
Yeah.
So,
Right,
so
right,
I'm real
right.
selective on the individuals that we take in. Plus, in addition to that, you have to be self-motivated. Because I'm not waking you up in the morning.
See,
Right.
I'm not telling you I'm not doing none of that. You have to be self-motivated.
let me do this real quick, Miss Wynn, because I'm a pass
Okay, go
the
ahead.
time. But for those of you who are tuned in to the sit down, hey, welcome. Our guest this evening is Mr. Ray Gaines. He is the executive producer. See, I got to give you all of this. Executive
Yes.
director.
Director.
And I'm sure you got a lot of other titles that you just do
Yeah.
because
Bookkeeper.
all the whole nine. And this is a organization. This is a residential facility for kids who have aged out of the foster care system. And when you mention your capacity being 10, man, the need is great. And so I'm gonna make this plug for you and your organization. I know the new community-based care organization, which is Brevard Family Partners, has taken over the CBC contract for Orange, Osceola, and Seminole County. I don't know what your engagement has been, because, and I met the gentleman who's the president of the organization, Mr. Phillips. Man, I tell you, if you have not gone to tour the Fane House, this is a place that you or your vice president, and I'm keeping it at a high level, need to go on a tour to see the great work that's taking place at the Fane House. And I know you always need resources. That's the number one key.
Yes,
But
yes.
the need is so great. I can see that partnership. I can see that relationship between Brevard Family Partners and the Fane House because the need is there.
Absolutely.
Yes,
So
yes.
in the past, before they converted over, we do have a really good partnership with Embrace Families. So before they took over, we were in direct connection with Embrace Families, all of their executives all the time. Actually, their housing manager just was at our facility on Friday because we got a couple of young adults that's getting ready to transition out. So he helps
Okay.
us be able to find them affordable housing. So we do have a really, really good relationship with Embrace Families, and so we do have a contract in place with them. But the thing is that the need. So like we don't try to make it all foster care kids or all community
Right,
based kids.
right.
We try to mix it up
Mix
a little
it
bit
up
because
some.
a lot of like I was telling someone today that what a lot of people don't realize is that young adult that's at your house spending the night for 2 weeks straight with nobody checking on them, they're considered homeless.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And so a lot of times
Right.
they couch surfing and stuff. And so I'm thinking back when my daughter was having her friend, like, gosh, she's been over here for a month. And we haven't heard from her mom. And so that's what we try to do. We try to make sure that we're not only helping those kids aged out of foster care, that we give those community-based kids an opportunity as well.
Right, right. With your organization, do you have any volunteers? Is there volunteer opportunities?
As I was telling you earlier, Ms. Wynn, we are a very volunteer-driven organization.
Okay.
Unfortunately and fortunately, I'm the only full-time staff person there. So I have it's me, and I just hired a part-time young lady that works evenings that kind of handles the life skills stuff. So we have volunteers from all arenas of life to come in and help us with life skills. We have presentations come in. We have partnerships with different financial institutions that want to help with financial literacy. So we do encourage volunteers, but more so mentorship. If we
Yes.
have volunteers that want to come in and mentor, because what people don't realize is that most of the kids that's come out of foster care, they're not in foster care because of what they did. They're in
Right.
foster care because of what their parents or
Parents
somebody
did,
else did. So
right.
being able to be a caring adult for them is something that I look for every day. So if we have people that want to come out and volunteer, and just something as small as come and cook a meal and have meal
Yeah.
food with
Right,
us.
right.
It's
Break
great.
that bread.
Break the bread.
Get to know the individual.
Let me ask you this, and it's good that you mentioned, these young people are there not as a result of something that they did. It's a situation where we're talking about parenting.
Right,
We're
right.
talking in some cases possibly the lack thereof, and in some other situations you got parents that didn't know how to be a parent.
Absolutely.
But either the case, have you seen a lot of engagement or any engagement with fathers of these individuals that are in your facilities? Is there any connection? Is there any relationship? Is there any outreach from the father to the kid, to the young people, or from the young people to whom they recognize as their father or their father figure?
Absolutely not.
See?
Mostly
wow.
every young adult
Wow.
in our building now have some type of daddy issues, right?
Oh,
Whereas
wow.
that's why the
Wow.
person that I hired is a young lady, because we have to have that dynamic there. Because we have right now, are at 6 residents now, 4 young ladies and 2 young men, and we're gonna be intaking maybe 3 or 4 the next 2 weeks or so. But we are so careful because those young ladies have real life daddy issues. So what's fortunate is that I have 2 daughters of my own.
Right.
And so they've come in my office and hear me talking to my daughter, and they're like, Mr. Ray, you talk to your daughter just like you talk to us? Yeah, like this is what I'm not telling you something I don't know.
Yeah.
Right,
I'm giving
right.
you the same advice that I give my 27-year-old and my 23-year-old,
Right.
the same exact advice. And so my relationship with the residents in the building is phenomenal because they understand that I have daughters that are right at your age, and I understand what y'all going through. So
Right.
you can't try to out-talk me, out-slick me, because I done seen all of that. You can't out-slick me.
But you know they're gonna try.
Oh,
They're
every
gonna
day.
try.
But you know what, Ms. Wynn, see, I know where you're going with that. You know they're gonna try
Try you.
because we done tried with our parents.
Yes.
Absolutely. There's nothing you have done, nothing that you're trying to do to me that I have not seen. Oh, Mr. Ray, I didn't come in, I only came in the house 2 minutes late. No, the clocks, well, my watch, no, the alarm is set at 12:20 because I give y'all a little bit of grace. It's 12:30, so you really 30 minutes late.
Yeah.
Oh, but they're gonna come up
Oh,
with
yeah,
something now.
always.
They got an excuse for you.
Yeah, and I'm gonna take their side a little bit because they trying what we tried.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
we know our parents probably tried it on their parents.
Absolutely. That's why I don't take it personally.
Yeah.
And it's funny that you said that because it was one individual, and he's our first resident that we took in when we reopened. And he told me, he said, Mr. Ray, it's nothing against you. We are trying to survive. So if that means that I have to kind of move you over a little bit it's to survive, that's what I'm going to do. He said, nothing against you, that's just what we do.
Yeah.
When our back is up against the wall, we trying to survive.
Yeah.
I get it.
You're right.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. But you know, a lot of these kids think that we were never kids. We
Absolutely.
just grew up to be an adult.
Yeah,
Just
we
think-
came out and we was
came
adults,
out and
yeah.
an adult.
Absolutely.
Like, what? No, you can't try that with me. I've been there, done that. I know. Yes. So,
Mr. Gaines, you mentioned, and I listened very carefully, but you just mentioned when you reopened. So take us through that a little bit.
Okay. The Fane House, when it originated, it originated as a partnership with Children's Home Society.
Okay.
So we were partnered with Children's Home Society, I want to say right at about 9 to 10 years or so. Well before my time. They divested from Children's Home Society about 3.5 years ago during the height of COVID.
Okay.
So all the residents were transferred to different facilities. The facility shut down, and it allowed us to be able to revamp the facility. So the
Okay.
facility opened back up January of 2021. And no, I'm sorry, 2022. January 2022, and we took our first resident in on March the 3rd,
Okay.
2022.
okay.
But you know, by saying that, here's something, because, we continue, and the reason why the sit down exists is because we want to bring in small faith and community-based organizations. Yeah, we will bring in the traditional, historical, not-for-profit organizations, but the truth be told, they can afford to do this without us.
Yeah.
Right.
And so we
right.
like to bring in those organizations that are closest to the people, closest to where the need is. And by you telling the story regarding the Fane House and Children's Home Society, I'm very familiar with them. Great organization. I don't have any beef with them. But it goes back to say, to state government, to local government, to philanthropy. And I got to give it up to, man, you know her name, ex-wife of Bezos. I can't remember her name.
Jeff Bezos.
But his wife is paying it forward when you look at the philanthropy that she is dispersing
yes,
of her billions of dollars
yes.
throughout the country.
Yes, yes.
Reach Up, which is a not-for-profit, small not-for-profit over in the Tampa area that is headed and facilitated by Miss Nicola Bailey, who is homegrown out of Orlando.
Yes.
Used to be the executive director of Embrace for Orange County. She's doing a great job with Reach
Yes,
Up,
yes.
but Reach Up was awarded 6-7 months ago $2 million, and that's why we have the Ray Gaines of the Fane House sitting in here, because we want you to get your message out. And the fact of the matter is, government entities and philanthropic organizations need to know that organizations like the Fane House exist.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And
Yes,
honestly,
yes.
the relationship with Children's Home Society it was and is still very good. You know, we still have communication with them, and they are able to assist us in any way we want to. And from my understanding, one of the main reasons why we wanted to be, our board of directors wanted to be more involved in the everyday decisions. It wasn't nothing, you know, malice or anything in regards to children. Hopefully, like I said, I probably talk to Ms. Tara Hormel at least once a month just about things, about what we need to
But
do.
I like that mentality
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
here's something that I mentioned,
Communication.
faith and small and community-based organizations. To me, small businesses, if that's your fit, great. But small businesses should aspire to be big business.
Absolutely.
Yes,
You know?
yes,
Absolutely.
yes,
Absolutely.
And so what you're saying really fits in the growth and development of organizations that start out and say, hey, we are understanding what we're doing now, and we want to be a little bit more independent
yes,
so that
yes.
we can grow independently.
Absolutely,
Yes,
absolutely. So
yes.
that's exactly what we're trying to do. So the Fane House, even though we have those 10 young adults in our residence, we're also more focused on the community as well. So we want to be a pillar of our community in that Pine Hills area. So every service that we offer to our residents is offered to the community.
Okay.
So the only thing that we can't offer to the community is a bed, because all of our beds are typically full.
Yeah.
Right.
But anything else that we have, so if we have a guest speaker that's coming in to talk about financial literacy, and like you want to learn about that, come on in. The door's open. If you need to come in and get something to eat, if I'm in the office, come on in.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
because like I said, I try to be there because I want to, the safety and security, that's my number one priority for me.
Right.
I want to make sure everybody's safe, but anything that we can do to help that community, we're there.
That's
Yeah.
good, that's good, that's good. Now, you did mention earlier that you have a wait list. What's your wait list time? And what happens to that child until that wait list opens
Good
up?
question, good
That's a
question.
great question. And it's sad because a lot of times I turn back more than I accept. Because some of them are on the waiting list because, well, the waiting list can go from anywhere from a year to maybe 2 years, because we ask that every one of our residents make a commitment to be there for at least a year, at a
Okay.
maximum of 2 years.
Okay.
So, do all of our residents make it that long? Absolutely not.
Okay.
So I would say on an average, someone may sit on the waiting list for 3 months. Like I just talked to an individual today that turned his application in back in May.
Okay.
And I called them back, I said, we got some vacancies, are you still interested? And 80% of the time, absolutely, Mr. Ray, I'm coming to meet with you, and we go through the process. And so that process entails me looking at the application. I give them a phone interview first, and then I see if they are appropriate. I actually send them our handbook that kind of outlines all the expectations that we have of you. And then the most important part for me is that in-person interview and tour.
Right,
Because I need that
right.
energy to be a certain
Yeah.
Right.
Because that
Right.
energy is not, I don't care what the
Yeah,
application is.
Yeah.
right,
Now, your
right.
application, it can say you've done a lot of different stuff.
Yeah.
But if your energy is good,
Yeah.
I'll take you for that.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
We'll figure it out.
The
Yeah.
energy and the chemistry
Yeah.
Yes,
matters.
yes,
You know,
yes.
for those of
That's
you who are
important.
watching the sit down,
Yes.
if you have any questions relative to the conversation that's going on tonight, hey, please feel free to call in at 321-483-7002. Once again, that phone number is 321-483-7002. Once again, Mr. Gaines doing a great job over there, man. This is informational and educational to Miss Wynn and myself because we try to keep up with what's going on.
Yes. Now, Mr. Gaines, if someone wants to get in touch with you to come out and take a tour, how can they do that?
This is what I tell everybody that calls me about a tour.
Okay.
We are tour ready every day.
Hey, you don't have to get ready and just stay ready.
No, 24, anytime between 9 to 5, when I'm there, you can come for a tour. And if you want to come on the weekend, you call me or you email me and I'll get you in there in the weekend. It doesn't matter because we're always tour ready. Our young adults are going to always be respectful. You're going to walk into a clean and orderly house all the time. So,
You stay ready.
always, always.
Okay.
What's the
So
phone
what's
number?
the phone
The
number?
phone number for our building is 407-573-6070. And the great thing about that is that not only does that ring my direct line in my office, it's also connected to my cell phone. So if you call at 11:30 at night, I'm probably going to answer it because I think something's going on. So feel free to come on out and talk to us. But like, we're always ready for a tour. I tell everybody, come anytime you want.
This goes out
Okay.
in so many different forms and fashion. I want to just make sure that we send it out again to you, that phone number to reach the Fane House. You can also reach Mr. Gaines at this number. That number is area code 407-573-6070.
Yes,
Did I
sir.
get that right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey, so question that I have for you, and it's a question that everybody's probably wondering, how do residents, we know they go through an intake process, but how is it paid for? What's the contribution of the residents to them being able to be sustained in the Fane House?
Yeah, that's a great question. Actually, we have a kind of like a tiered system, right? So let's say someone moves in today. They won't have to pay their first, we call it client service fees. We don't call it rent because we don't want that landlord-tenant relationship.
Gotcha.
Client service fees. So they will pay their first month of client service fees. They won't pay until September. And so how it works is that the first month, the second month, and the third month, we pay $125 per month. 4, 5, and 6.
I gotta put the brakes on again. I gotta pull up again.
Yeah.
Wait, hold up. Wait, did you hear that?
We need to wind.
And you know,
I was gonna get me a room there. It's so cheap. I need to move there.
Hey, you know what? Our executive producer normally jumps in on the show. Tonight he's taking off, but this is one of those nights that I know he's sitting back saying I should have took the night off tonight.
Yes.
So we're living in a time where rent costs are through the ceiling, and I'm saying that metaphorically and literally.
Literally.
Through the ceiling. And so for the first 3 months or so, residents are paying $125.
Absolutely.
Can I pay for my kids?
Listen, I was just telling Ms. Wynn, I may have to move over there and get my daughters to go there, but that's how it works. So the first, second, third month is $125. The 4th, 5th, and 6th month is $225. You won't have to pay your full client service fees until you've been there 7+ months, which is $450. But that's not the end of it.
So $450 is the full client service fee.
But I got something even better for that. Everything that you put in, I'm giving you half of that back out. If you've been into our building for a year and you are ready to move into your own place, I'm giving you half of that money back.
Wait a minute.
I mean, and I
Say that
understand
again.
and I understand the concept because
It's the same
they're
account.
they're investing in them. When you're investing in them, and they're investing in themselves as well. And it's almost like helping that eagle get ready to soar. You gotta prepare them to push them out the nest almost, but to help them understand. Spread your wings and prepare to lift yourself up and fly.
Absolutely.
Is that something that you tell the residents ahead of time, or you wait until they're getting ready to discharge?
Is that part of orientation?
It actually used to didn't be. It was something that we kind of kept under the vest.
Okay.
But I've been telling them. I said because for me, I don't want a person to come there and only stay for 30 days.
Right.
If I tell you at least a year, and if you pay, let's make a round, let's go $500 a month for a year, that's $6,000. So you know when you're leaving us, you're going to get $3,000 back.
Yeah.
So if I have to offer some trickery to make you stay for a year, that's what I'm going to do, because then our services are really going to take part in your life and you're going to be successful. But there are a bunch of requirements to that, though. So when you leave, you know, like we're not going to give you back your money if you're going to another transition home.
Right.
When you're ready to move into your own place and you need that down payment, we got that for you. And we're going to have that for them.
Hey, here's something, Ms. Wynn, I got to do this.
Okay.
And I don't know, are you getting any support from Orange County government?
No.
Just yes or no? Are you getting any support from the city of Orlando? Yes or no?
No.
Okay, here's where the sit-down does what it does best. I'm gonna look in that camera and I'm gonna say to two of our great leaders, I'm gonna say to Mayor Demings, of whom it was an honor for me to co-chair his Orange County Citizen Safety Task Force. I will say to Mayor Demings, who was a chief of police for the city of Orlando. I believe he was the first African-American chief of police for the city of Orlando. I will say to our Mayor Demings, who was the public safety director for Orange County, who was the sheriff of Orange County, and who we're proud to say and see now is the mayor of the 5th largest county in the state of Florida. And he's doing some innovative things. He's doing some things that are paying it forward, but he's doing it with expectations that there's a return on taxpayer investment.
Correct.
And so I would say to Mayor Demings, and this is just part and parcel of some of the conversations that went forth with the task force, that if you haven't seen this or he doesn't know about what's taking place at the Fane House, Mayor Demings, this is something that I would say you definitely want to take a look at, because I believe it is a cost avoidance for the Orange County taxpayers.
Yes.
So that we prepare these young people
Yes.
to fly the nest. And also, I would say to Mayor Dyer, the mayor of the city of Orlando, this again is an investment in taxpayers, because you can walk across the seat in the county and be in the city of Orlando, and
Yes.
vice versa.
Yes.
The Fane House is something that's worth investing in, that does a return on the investment. And I want to say to you, because here's something that board members, while they may get the satisfaction of doing something good, and I don't know if I'm not going to put you on the spot to know whether or not you know every single one of your board members' names, but I want to say this to the Fane board. You are doing something really great in the investment that you are making in the Fane House. You're doing something great with the leadership that you have with back in Mr. Gaines with the Fane House.
Yes. Yes.
I'm just taken aback, because you don't often see the level of chemistry, symmetry that's taking place. And I'm not hearing a lot of the different conduits in terms of funding coming from here, funding coming from there. You guys are just getting it done.
Absolutely, and so we do get some assistance from the Orange County Sheriff's Office. They are a wonderful, great partner for us. He's come out and spoke to our young adults.
Sheriff Mina.
Mina?
Yeah, Sheriff Mina has come out and spoke to our young adults. He's on our informational video. He's given us a grant. But a lot of our funding comes from private donors. Donors that believe in our mission, and donors that believe in what we do. And we wouldn't be able to do the things that we do without that. And so we have, we have our biggest fundraiser of the year, which is our Mission Possible Evening of Hope Gala. And we just had that on May 18th. So we just had it, and that brings in the majority of the fund.
For the operations.
For the operation, yes. But then we also have partnerships with, like I said, different banks like Truitt's and, Fifth Third and Cogent and some of the other smaller banks in the area that really pour into our young adults.
See, I like that. And, here's something that I don't want you to say, I will say it. Man, being generous with your time is great.
Right.
That's something that we all have. And a lot of us oftentimes might be somewhat stingy with
Yes.
our time.
Yes.
But give it if you can. But the other thing I got to say to you is small community and faith-based organizations. A lot of times people talk about the philanthropic giving of the church or the community. And my father-in-law is a preacher. So he taught me this. And there's this thing about going to the well. And, the well supposedly has water in it. And people give unto the well at times. But there's times when the well runneth dry.
Come on now, come on, that's it.
And so when we talk about Truist, when we talk about these banks, when we talk about philanthropic giving, here's what I got to say. Thank you, thank you, thank you, because you can have somebody that want to come out and give them the time, and that's great. I'm encouraging people to do that.
Yes.
But when that light bill comes for the Fane House, hey, Duke or Progress Energy,
They ain't going for it.
they not saying come and spend no time with me.
No, they want that money.
They want that money.
Want that money.
And I don't know who you use. I don't know if, Cisco usually like larger organizations when they contract with. Cisco Food is what I'm talking about. But food costs money too.
Yes, it does.
That's probably one of our most higher expenses, because we provide all the food for our residents. So we are able to, like my assistant now is, I was just, when I got here, was going shopping with the kids, but I make her take them so they can learn how to shop.
Yeah.
And so they do that.
Yes.
But I would be remiss, if I would not give a shout out to our founder, one of our founders, our actual co-founder, Jeff Fane. Jeff Fane and Ms. Brittany Fane are so active and so involved in the organization as our founding members, right?
Wow.
So a lot of the charitable giving that we get comes from their relationships.
Oh, wow.
I'll be a fool to sit up here and say those are mine. I love them, but
Give
I know
credit where
that
credit is
yes,
due.
it's because
Yes.
they work really, really hard and they believe in what we do there, and they support it 100%. And so a lot of times, like he's not only a former NFL football player, he's a business owner here in the Central Florida area. So he always calls on his partners and call on his friends to support the Fain House. And every last one of our board members do the same. So we have some really, really influential people on our board that are able to reach pockets that I can't reach.
Gotcha.
That's
Gotcha.
good.
It's been great.
That is
And,
good.
and again, that brings me to, because we don't say it enough, to the Fain board members, to the co-founders, because Ms. Wynn and I, we did our homework on how this came to be, and you know, got to give it up to the Fains. I mean,
Yes,
they had
yes.
vision.
Absolutely.
So what happens when the young men and young ladies exit the Fain House? Do they ever come back and tell you what they're up to? Any type of success stories or anything to go along with that?
So the young adults that's getting ready to leave now are going to be part of the ones that I brought into the facility, right?
Okay.
And so the relationship that I have with them, they will absolutely be back. But I know that Ms. Brittany Fain has been involved longer than I have, and like she still is in contact with individuals that left the Fain House 5-6 years ago.
Oh, that's
to make sure that
good.
they're being
That's
successful.
good.
And like she is such a giving and caring person, like, you know, and that's the thing. She said, Mr. I don't want to be a board member. I just want to be a volunteer and come hang out with y'all. You know what I'm saying? I said, no, I need you to do this. But you know, she's always been that way. But like that's what it is. Like I have two individuals actually getting ready to leave probably August 1st, and I know for a fact that they'll be back because those are one of the first two that I actually brought into the building. So my relationship with them is phenomenal. So I know they'll be back.
That's wonderful. That
So,
is
so
wonderful.
man, I tell you, you talking about, and it's almost like measuring, setting benchmarks that I'd be real interested in knowing where are a lot of the alumni
Right.
of
Yes.
the Fain House.
Yes. Yes.
You know, what are they
yes.
doing now? That could be a show
Yeah.
in and of itself.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And somebody asked me about that the other day, and like we're trying to locate some of the ones that are out here being successful. But I've met 3 or 4 of them since I've been involved, and they told me how much the Fain House has changed their lives. And then, you know, I had a young lady that just left that transitioned to another transitional home, and she was like, "There's nothing like here."
Nothing like it.
Because y'all gonna be on us and make us do what we need to do, but y'all care. And so what I tell my residents all the time is like, it doesn't matter if we have 2 beds full or 10 beds full. It doesn't change what we do.
Yeah.
We're gonna love on you the same way,
Yeah.
Right.
either way it goes.
Right.
So,
Right.
so that's how it works over
You know,
there.
much different, and I know you're familiar with SIN's Fins.
Yeah.
Children in need of services, families in need of services. And I guess the difference in the threshold is the age.
Yeah.
You know, you're dealing with 18 to 23. SIN's Fins is dealing with kids, man, I don't know, I don't even recall how young up to 18,
Yeah.
but they're dealing with children, and then they're trying to work with the families as well, because it's one of those deals where you can't help heal one without healing the other.
Absolutely.
You know, so with
Wow.
that, can you tell us a little bit about health services, because you got young adults that are coming in there that there's health issues that come along with just life.
Life,
How do you
yeah.
deal with that?
And see and so that is a super unique question because once again they're adults and a lot of them are very fearful of going to the doctor. But something else I didn't share with you guys, Ms. Brittany Fain is also a nurse practitioner.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay,
I have
okay.
her, if it's something that I need to get done,
Yeah.
boss, I need you to come over here and come see some of my kids. But anytime they have a doctor's appointment, anytime they have ailment, even if they don't have insurance, I'm taking them to the doctor. We're going to take care of that for them.
Gotcha.
Because we want to make sure, but now we're really focusing on trying to, because most of the kids come out of foster care, they're going to have their Medicaid. It's the
Right.
community-based kids that don't have
They
it.
don't have it.
So now we
They gotta
try
get qualified.
Yes, now we back it up and going through the proper channels to make sure that every last one of our young adults have medical insurance. But if they don't have it and you're sick, we're going to take you to the doctor. We're going to take care of that because we need you to be
Wow.
well. Because
Wow.
you can't help yourself if you're not well.
And you know, I need to connect you, and this is what the sit down is all about, learning, being educated, but also looking at how we can help make those network connections. And a friend of mine, Jay, who is regional, he got one of those fancy titles, and I won't name the health care company until we have him on the show,
Yeah.
but that is his job from a senior citizen standpoint to the Medicaid side of young adults, making sure that individuals are educated and informed about what benefits they qualify for, who's walking around here who hadn't been deemed eligible because they don't know. So I need to make that connection. But man, I tell you, the work that you're doing over there is just phenomenal.
It
I appreciate it. And that's
is.
the thing, like for us, man, when we sit down, and what a lot of people don't understand is that age group that you gave from, let's say, 4 years old to 17, that's an easy population to get funding
Right,
for.
right.
You can get funding for seniors.
Yeah.
It's easy. That little catch window of 18 to 23, 24 years old, there's not a lot of funding out there for them because most people think that they should be capable of taking care of themselves,
Right.
not understanding some of the trauma that they went through to be able to get to where they are, and not even understanding the bare essentials of how to fill out a job application, how to
Right.
fill out a money order.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
like, them not understanding that part of life. And so, it's been many a days when they come in and they pay their client service fee, because I told them, I don't want your cash, I need you to go get a money order or a check.
So you
Right.
So I can
teach
show
them.
you how to
Teaching
do
us,
this.
right,
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Where I get a money order from? Two places. You can go to Publix, you can go to Amscot, you can go wherever, but
Yeah.
bring it to me and we're gonna fill it out together. So I can kind of teach you how to fill it out.
Yeah.
So,
Right,
and
right.
it's been working out.
How long have you been doing this, man?
I've been, like I told Ms. Wynn, like my background is juvenile justice, probation, I've done all of that stuff. This is my first time working with homeless youth and foster care youth. And the reason why I feel like I have that experience because, and this is gonna sound bad, I feel like I'm getting an opportunity for a do-over because I didn't teach my daughters that.
Okay, gotcha.
So I didn't teach them that.
Right.
And I watched them when they went out there, because nobody never taught me. I wish somebody would
Right.
have taught me when I was
Yeah.
18.
Right.
Yeah.
Then I wouldn't probably be up in debt to here when I got to be 40. You know what I'm saying? So,
Right.
so like I actually taught, like being able to watch my daughters kind of not understand how to fill out money orders and other kind of stuff because we took care of that for them.
Yeah.
Right.
So now I
right,
make sure that I
right.
take my time and try to figure that out for the young adults that we deal with because they've never had anybody to teach them that.
Oh,
Well, you
that's
know,
great,
here's
that's
something.
great.
We're coming to the wind down of this show, but I have to say to you that Ms. Wynn and I want to definitely connect you to some programs that are out there doing great work, and I can see them being in need of your services.
Yes.
I Hope Mentoring is an organization, and that's headed by Marcus
Dorsey Brown.
Dorsey Brown. King Solomon Foundation,
Yes.
headed by Nick Solomon.
Yes.
Morgan Ministries, not-for-profit organization, which is headed by Elizabeth Morgan. And we have Power Teams organization that's headed by Miss
Lori James.
Lori James. And last but not least, we have Tucson Boxing and Fitness Center. And a lot of
Yes.
people hear that and think, oh, that's a workout place. Well, he's taking these kids off the street.
Yes.
He's conditioning them physically, but he's working with them intellectually, telling them, put them guns down,
Yes. Yes.
how to go home and converse with your parents versus conflict with your
Absolutely.
parents.
Yes.
And Toussaint's, look, I can't pronounce his first name, but Toussaint is a guy who's finding ways of working with these young people.
Yes.
And we gotta
Yes.
connect you because
Yes.
a lot of
Love
these
that.
young people have the
Need
same issues and needs.
Yes.
Absolutely, I would
yes.
love that.
Yes.
I would
Yes.
love that.
So we got 2 minutes left, and Mr. Gaines, if you would, because when we take our commercial break, we were talking about fathers.
Yeah.
When we take the commercial break, we're gonna roll something so that you can see where we're going and something that we wanna open up to you as well. But if you would look at that red light and just tell people what you want them to know about the Fame House.
Basically, it's real simple. We are trying to give hope to the hopeless. We want to be able to provide our young adults with the opportunities that normal 18 to 24-year-olds have. Like Mr. Love said, the resources are great, and we desperately need those. But more so than the resources, we need the opportunities for them.
Yes.
For them to be able to get jobs with livable wages so that they can take care of themselves. And that's what we need.
Hey,
That's
Mr.
excellent.
Gaines,
That's excellent.
tell you what, you're always welcome here.
Thank
We
you.
look forward to working with you. And, hey, man, thank you once again,
Thank you
man.
so much.
Thank you.
Yes.
Ms. Wynn, thank you.
Hey, you're tuned in to the sit down. You had the opportunity to hear from Mr. Ray Gaines. And in the sit down, man, we throw balls and strikes. We want you to understand and know what's out there, what's available to you. And when we get the caliber of people like Mr. Gaines coming into the studio, and feel it not be robbery to drive over here to have this conversation with you, that's what it's all about. Miss Wynn, I just appreciate and enjoy how you just help throw those balls and strikes right along with me.
Yes, 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 yes. Let's get some more that community service on this sit down.
And if you want to be on the show, you want your organization to be highlighted on the show, please contact Ms. Wynn. You can reach her at area code 407-494-2406. And I got to tell everybody, thank you for joining us. You don't have to go home, but you got to get out of here, and we're going to take this commercial break. And please tune in because we're going to be doing something special in Orange and Seminole County, and this commercial will tell you just what it is. See you next week on the Sit Down.
Good night.
As the school bell sounds, children flood the schoolyard, a blend of joy, excitement, and ready for their day. Alex scans the crowd, his hopeful eyes dimming as he fails to spot his father's familiar face amidst the throng of other kids joyfully greeting their dads. Though Alex's disappointment is palpable, he isn't alone in his longing. There are many like Alex, yearning for a father's presence. Yet, amidst this, we must remember that there are fathers who care deeply. They may just need a bit of guidance and support to become the responsible and loving figures our community believes they can be. A glimpse into the Florida Economic Consortium workshop with fathers deeply engrossed, interacting, sharing stories, gaining much-needed guidance on uniting fathers with their children. A ray of sunshine breaks through as Lisa's dad arrives and brightens up her day, bringing a smile to her face and reassuring her that Dad is in her life. The transformation and translation of responsible fatherhood is real and attainable if we all work together. By ensuring our children have what they need to thrive, a loving father or a dedicated father figure actively involved in their lives, we can foster a brighter future for our community. Central Florida Responsible Fatherhood Initiative, empowering fathers to be the men for their children that creates family legacies of pride, honor, and prosperity for generations to come. Join the Florida Economic Consortium in fostering stronger father-child relationships, encouraging more fathers to join their cause.